lovelies, welcome back to Moonli. Today we're actually gonna make a dessert that I accidentally made yesterday. I was going for something else and then it turned out to be like the perfect vegan chocolate mousse. So like I'm super excited because I was sitting there tasting with my partner and he's like, this is really good. So we're gonna go over what you need. It's super simple, super easy. One thing you will need is either a blender or a processor. I use a blender, but your processor should be fine. We're talking about some of the benefits of the foods that we're gonna use for this. So excited, and yes, it doesn't involve avocado. You will need half a cup of cocoa butter, half of 1/3 of a cup of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, whether you use essence or anything like that, but you will need this, 2 or 3 tablespoons of maple syrup. I like mine sweet, so I do 3 tablespoons. Your blender and some measuring stuff. And lastly, you'll also need some coconut milk. Since I made this last night, I put my leftover canned coconut milk in here. Use, coconut milk from your local store. You can also use light coconut cream. I believe that's actually what this was because we didn't have any coconut milk. So this is another option and you will need this. It's literally just canned. Go for canned because it's a bit thicker than the carton one. Let's get started. So firstly, we're gonna start off by getting your little pot and filling it with water. You honestly don't have to fill it up that much. I just fill mine up an inch or two. The less you have, the less time it'll take to boil. You essentially just need to get this to a boil. Just like this. Just get some water in there. You're just gonna put it on the stove, turn it up, and you want to get it to a boil. And while that's boiling, you can go ahead and start cutting up cacao butter. So the cacao butter I get comes in something like this. You only need half a cup, so it's not much. When you buy it, it might be a little bit expensive. I got mine at my healthcare store. You can also get some, I believe, at the local grocery stores now as well. And now you're just going to dice this up. Not really dice it, you're just gonna kind of get it down to as easy as possible. And the reason that you're doing this is because you want to get it to a point where when we put it in our bowl and we put it over the pot on the stove, it's going to melt down easier.
Let's get it on like that Marvin Gaye song. I'm stunning, you love it. Come on, give me something.
So I still need a bit more. About cocoa butter is super natural, but it's also full of amazing healthy fat. So it's gonna help with your prostaglandin levels and things like that. So this is another great way to get some healthy fats in there. And then once you're good to go, you're gonna get your bowl. And you're simply just gonna pour this in there. So now when this comes to a boil, you're just gonna take this and put it over top. If you have dry skin, dandruff, painful periods, heavy periods, prostaglandins are really where you're gonna focus. So this has amazing fats in it, but also vitamin E, crucial for antioxidant health, which is crucial for people with endo, adenomyosis, fibroids, a weak immune system. But when you're eating vitamin E, remember you also want to be getting vitamin A, D, and K. So this is a great source, fun way to have something that's fun like chocolate mousse, but get the benefits from it as well. So the water's starting to boil. I'm gonna put this on. Essentially, you're just gonna put it on like this. And while it's on there, it'll just slowly start to melt. And as it starts to melt, you can start to stir it or you can just leave it there. It's gonna melt on its own. But the biggest thing about this is you wanna make sure no matter how much water you put in here, that it's not touching the bowl. So make sure there's always enough room. For me, I only put about that much water. So clearly the bowl is not touching it. But no matter what size you use, just make sure that your glass bowl is not touching the water. You can also use a ceramic bowl as well. And if you have a look, you can see that it's already starting to melt down, which is exactly what we want. All right, so while that is melting down, you want to go ahead and start preparing some of the other stuff. So now you want to grab your 1/3 of a cup for your coconut milk. So all you're going to do is do 2/3 of coconut milk into your blender. So there's 1, and then here's 2. And then you want to do either 2 or 3 tablespoons of your maple syrup. The other great thing about coconut is that it's getting you extra fats in there as well. So happy coconutting. Okay, so now we're on to maple syrup. I wouldn't say maple syrup has a lot of benefits, but for people, that are trying to cut back on their sugar, if you have painful periods, PMS, endo, adeno, fibroids, really any type of hormonal issue. They have found that refined sugar, like white sugar and brown sugar, can cause inflammation to the gut and can contribute to those PMS symptoms, those painful periods. So really starting to reduce that amount of intake that you have is crucial. So maple syrup and honey and stevia, things like that are great replacements. I personally recommend to stick to like maple syrup and honey, and then stevia and those things when you really need it, like coconut sugar as well. So now you're gonna do 2 or 3 tablespoons depending on you as a person, and pour it directly into the blender. 1, and then half a teaspoon of vanilla, and then lick your maple syrup, of course. Once all of this is melted down, you can turn your heat off. Make a cup of tea with it if you want, or coffee. And all you need to do is get this off of the stove. Your bowl might be hot, so just make sure you use a cloth. Mine's not too bad, and just put it on something. Don't put it directly on your counter. You can put it on the chopping board that you were using, just somewhere that's not directly on your counter, especially if you have marble. So then we're going to take this, put it down until it cools down. So usually it takes maybe about 10-15 minutes for it to cool down. Don't wait until it's hard again. Just make sure that it is nice and cool, because then we're gonna put it into our blender and we're gonna mix it up, and that is pretty much it. So the longest part of this is just waiting for this to melt down. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. It's come down in temperature. You're literally just gonna pour it in your blender and blend it all up together. And yes, I left that out because I'm gonna be cooking something else right after this. So all you're gonna do is pour it into the blender with everything else that you have. And so now when you're looking at it, you can see that some of it is separated. So you just wanna blend it so that there's no layers, all of it's perfectly mixed together. So when we're looking at that, it's all mixed in and we see no layers. You want to fill this up with about half of cacao powder. So it's just a little over half, but just like that.
I'm buzzing, let's drink up. Your death look like big fun. Come on, let's get it on like that.
And then once it's all blended, can't see any of the layers, we open it up. Looks like that on the inside. And all you need to do, you scoop it out. Looks so fluffy, it's so yum. Put it in your bowl. Looks good. Got our mousse. Now what else can we add? Maybe we can add some strawberries, maybe like 2. And then maybe just some coconut. I know, more coconut. And we know strawberries are high in antioxidants. We can sprinkle some of this on there. Some hemp seeds, which are amazing for fats as well. Yum. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm going to be making more like these and making recipes and telling you guys what's in them and why they're helpful. I personally accidentally made this mousse and it's freaking delicious. So probably going to have it with my lunch. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it. Even comment if you have any questions or you have a request for some other things that I can do. This is a perfect vegan mousse. It's so fluffy, so good, and so many nutrients. I'm personally allergic to avocado, so I could never have this. I've been reintroducing egg, but not too much egg, and this has been a great replacement that I can have, especially when I have vegan friends come over and I can't do the egg mousse. So thanks for visiting so much. And to keep up with all of my videos, my information, my travels, which hopefully COVID will be over soon, please subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. It's so much fun. And feel free to check out my Instagram and go to my website at moonlico.com. Thanks guys. Bye.
Running dry on the tip of my tongue.